A lot of people are going to hate me talking about trust. A lot of people feel they know, we know, their friends know how to build trust. They feel they can trust others, though few can define it. Fortunately, some discovered how, and I'm gonna sound arrogant. There's somebody who wrote a book on trust. I looked over it. It feels it's all wrong. Simon Sinek says nobody knows how to build trust. In a lot of ways, he's right. In a lot of ways, he doesn't know. Chris Voss discovered how to build trust. So what's so special about Chris Voss? Master negotiator. Used to be the chief international hostage negotiator for the FBI. And he says trust takes three things. Keeping them informed, keeping it short so we don't confuse the other person, and not saying anything stupid. Unfortunately, the hard part about not saying anything stupid means changing how we think. Thinking with empathy from the other person's perspective. Thinking before we speak means thinking from the other person's perspective. A good example of that is, instead of asking, how was your day? At the end of the day, when everybody's exhausted, you know they're exhausted. Label it. Label what it looks like. Look mad, look exhausted, you look happy. Or a version of that. So, those are the three things Chris Voss says are required to build trust. Seems important. Simon Sinek says a few things about building trust. This is where I get ignorant, or arrogant, rather. I'm going to be arrogant and say, one thing Chris says that's not related to trust, though extremely important. In hostage negotiations, he says sometimes you have to consider killing the terrorist. And sometimes, he says, you usually don't want to lie to a terrorist you plan on killing. Sometimes you have to. And the reason you don't want to lie to a terrorist that you plan on killing is because the deal might change. Might set everybody free. Situation changes, change of circumstance, and all of a sudden you don't want to get caught in a lie. So you don't even want to lie to a terrorist you plan on killing. That's a good way to build trust. That's a fourth way Chris does not mention. And a fifth way, I recently realized myself, again, Chris Voss doesn't say this, though my experience in the military ties into what Simon Sinek says about one thing the military does to build trust is, or whether they know they can trust somebody or not, is when somebody gets caught doing something wrong. If they admit to it, at least that's better than lying or avoiding, or because if they deny it, you can't trust them. So in the military, one way we know we might trust somebody is if they did something wrong and they admit to it. This relates to what Chris talks about is in the accusations audit. Is in an accusations audit, you're accusing yourself, you're auditing everything you think they feel about you, and you accuse yourself of all the things you think they feel about you. Whether you agree with it or not, whether you like it or not. And that is another way to build trust, is to accuse yourself of the things the other person feels about you. You're admitting to how they feel. You may not agree with how they feel. You may not see it the way they do. You might feel you did nothing wrong. In their eyes, you're absolutely wrong. And an accusations audit is simply that, labeling how they feel about any situation, not just what you did or didn't do, but you're labeling how they feel about any situation. And if you can label how they feel about you, you're on your way to building trust. Those are 5 points on building trust. All 5 are rooted in what Chris Voss talks about. The first 3 are identified by Chris. I've added 2 I feel are extremely important. So let's recap. First is keeping them informed. A good example of that, Rory Sutherland, famous economist, says people ordering a taxi or an Uber want to see a map of where the taxi is en route, so that they know, so the client knows if the taxi is 20 miles away, 3 hours from pickup, or 2 minutes from pickup. With a map, the customer can see how much time they have. So that's one way to keep people informed. Chris has lots of good examples on how to do that. Second is keeping it short. 3, never say anything stupid to them, to what it means to them. 4 is never lie, which falls in line with number 3, because lying is stupid, but it's so important it needs to be said. Number 5 is accusing yourself of how they feel about you. So on that note, I gotta go back to work until I can I want to start my own coaching, mentoring program. I want to talk about how to communicate, how to build trust. Until then, I gotta work.